So very good afternoon all of you. Honorable Chairperson of this session, Dr. Vallabh sir. Another resource person, my friend, Dr. Umesh Jagdale sir. Coordinator of this seminar, Dr. Shahaji Karande sir, my friend. And all the teachers, delegates and all your dear students. As the theme of this particular seminar is communication skills and how we can develop communication skills when we think of communication skills in the language that does not belong to us. But as Dr. Anand Kulkarni has rightly pointed out in the previous session, is it okay if we call English as a foreign language? Is English really a foreign language now in India when we are in the second decade of 21st century? Is English really foreign? So I believe that most of you will be agree that English has no more remained foreign for us. English has become an integral part of our life. We cannot even think of a minute in our life without English. So when we say minute, minute is also an English word which cannot be translated in Marathi. So that is the importance of English in our life. And while talking before some time, I tried to give example of George Bernard Shaw's essay. You might have heard or you might have read somewhere about that particular essay written by G.B. Shaw, in which he talks about English as a means of communication. We as human beings have a kind of tendency to make very simple things very difficult. And that is especially a quality of we teachers. We try to make simple things difficult most of the times. Sarcastically some people try to define teacher as a person who can speak for 2 hours, which can be told within 2 minutes also. But I am not going to do that. I try to stick to the time that has been allotted to me by Dr. Shahaji Karande sir. The topic of my presentation is teaching English as a foreign language in India, though we believe that English is not a foreign language. Before a few minutes, before a few seconds, we have all agreed English is not a foreign language, but still we are not the native speakers of English. So though we have this kind of respect for English language in our mind, we can't avoid the fact that English is a foreign language for us, and that is the reason why we need to learn English. We need to learn the communication skills in English, as Dr. Jagdale sir has talked about, and what efforts we need to take. What are the things that we need to understand when it comes to communicate using a language that does not belong to our ancestors. So to begin with, this is the scenario of English language learning. I rather say learning now because maximum number of students are present here. So instead of teaching, I prefer to talk about how we can learn English as a foreign language. So English learning has been dominated nowadays by the advancement of ICT, Internet and Communication Technology, so which has become an unavoidable part of our life. Then methods and techniques of learning a language also are changing, because we are in the age where everything has been controlled by the technology. Our day-to-day routine has been controlled by the technology. When we get up in the morning also has been controlled by the technology, and when we get to the bed also has been controlled by the technology. For example, WhatsApp controls everything nowadays, along with Facebook. So until and unless we have finished reading all the posts on WhatsApp, we cannot go to sleep nowadays. Before some years, we were having some different things to accomplish before we go to bed. But nowadays we have WhatsApp and Facebooks. We have to check the status. We have to see the messages and all those things. So life is changing, and technology is the reason behind the change that is being taken place in each and every aspect of our life. So how language learning and teaching can be an exception? So it is not at all an exception. Technology has dominated language teaching also and language learning also in this century. So this is a new term that Nair has coined. Globish, global, English are the two words, and out of these two words, Globish is the word that has been coined by Nair, who was the president of IBM. He says that Globish is not a language, but rather it is a common foundation that non-native English speakers use in order to interact, especially in the field of trade, in the field of business. Before we start teaching or learning, actually the presentation was especially made for the teachers of English. So I have coined these kinds of terms in my presentation, which will facilitate teachers in order to knowing their students. When we go to some financial institutions or any institution, we have to fill a form called Know Your Customer. In the same way, for a teacher it is always necessary to know your students. Until and unless we are able to know, understand the psychology of our students, we cannot proceed further. So how the students are? Students have a short attention span. They are very active, which we as a teacher, we are not expected to forget. They love praise and reward because they are egocentric. So if a person is egocentric, and adolescent person, students are always egocentric. If they are insulted, they will not be able to learn properly. So if you praise your students, or as a student also, if you get praise from your teachers, you feel motivated, you feel encouraged to learn, and that creates a positive kind of impact on your activities. They enjoy imitating. No, most of the students have teachers as their role models. So when teacher speaks in a particular way, students try to imitate the speech, the way the teacher behaves, the way teacher speaks, the way teacher deals with the topic, and they are even skillful in listening accurately also. So while dealing with the students, teachers are not expected to commit some kind of errors, because they are very keen kind of listeners. They listen accurately in the sense they are very good scanners of the mistakes. They will not properly understood the right things, but the wrong things will be ultimately caught by the students. So as a teacher, people need to be very careful. They even enjoy learning through playing, acting, making and doing. So which is called participative kind of learning. So if the students get opportunity to participate in the classroom instead of being passive listeners, they will be more motivated to learn any subject, may it be language or may it be any theoretical kind of subject. If we as teachers are able to motivate students for learning, students will very easily learn any new kind of idea, any new language also. So in the classroom, motivation, how it can be triggered, especially for teachers. So taking under consideration the age of the students and the level of language competence in first language as well as second language. So we have to think about a kind of intellectual level of the students before we start our presentation in the classroom. Otherwise, most of the times it so happens that a teacher starts with his or her topic, and he or she uses such a kind of language that it cannot be reached to the students. So before we start delivering our presentation, we have to think about the level of understanding of the students, adopting activities that are within their interests. So that can be done by putting ourselves in the place of students. So what students will like? If I give a lecture for 1.5 hours, whether they will enjoy or not, and if I insert some activities which will help them learning language, learning any particular topic, so will it be helpful for them? We have to think before we start dealing with the subjects. Then designing meaningful tasks also. Because being passive in the classroom most of the times makes students absent-minded. If we go on speaking and we believe that students are listening to each and every word that we are speaking in the classroom, we are under wrong impression. It does not happen all the times. Teachers go on speaking about a particular subject without any kind of feedback from the students. As a human being, it is very much natural that we become absent-minded. So we remain present in the classroom with our body only, and our mind goes somewhere else. Now it has a very nice trip for 10 to 15 minutes while the classroom is full of the students. 50% of the students are bodily present most of the times. It happens because they do not get an opportunity to participate in the process of teaching and learning. So if we, as a teacher, if I have some tasks which will generate a kind of interest among the students, they will feel that, yes, I am learning something. So we have to plan such tasks. Actually, this presentation takes more than 1.5 hours, but I am trying to cut it short so that I meet the time allotted by Dr. Karande sir. Acquisition and learning are the two things which are very common. So who is a good learner of English? I wanted to focus on that because most of the students are present here. So good learner of English is willing to experiment. We are always ready to listen to the teacher speaking in the classroom. And we are more happy if the teacher says take down the notes. So we are ready with our weapons. We have very nice pens and notebooks and all those things. And we like writing in the classroom. If it is listening, we are still happy. But if the teacher asks question, if the teacher asks to take part in a group discussion, then we are not willing. Now this must be the experience of each and every friend of mine. If I plan a particular activity for tomorrow's lecture, 50% of the students are not willing to participate. And 20 to 25% of the students will feel ill and they will not attend the classroom. This happens. So we should be willing. As a student, you people should be willing that yes, I have to learn English as a language. We should be willing to listen. Listening is very important. Jagdai sir was talking about the skills of language. Listening is very important because listening, as sir has talked about it, listening is a receptive skill. We get the knowledge of the world through listening, and it is also said that a good listener of any language is always a good speaker of that language. Until and unless we listen to the language, we cannot be a good speaker of the language. Because through listening we get vocabulary. Through listening we get a kind of understanding of the rules of grammar without going to the grammar books. So unconsciously we go on learning language. If we listen properly, we observe people, and then, as I have told you, we like to imitate people also. Willing to ask questions. We also should be willing to ask questions. So this is also a problem with we people. We don't have any questions. No? Teacher comes every day, deals with his topic. Teacher asks, do you have some questions about it? So we say we don't have any questions. Because, we are very intelligent people. We don't have any questions in our mind. But as per a well-known saying, if you ask questions, you remain fool for 5 minutes. But if you don't ask questions, you remain fool forever. Forever, you remain fool. How does it happen? So if you ask questions, you get answers, you get solutions. But if you don't ask questions, you will not get your doubts cleared. So you will remain fool, not in literal sense, forever. No? So listening, asking question is very important. Willing to think about how to learn. No? You have to think about how to learn. You don't have to depend on your mentors, your teachers. You have your own responsibility. You have a very important role in teaching learning process, especially students. Nowadays we are using terms like student-centric education system and all those things. So student is at center. If student is not ready to think about his or her future in a broader sense, in a narrower sense, if the student is not ready to think about whether he is really going to learn something, whether he or she is really wants to learn something, it is not possible to learn anything. So unless and until you think about how to learn, you cannot think. You cannot remain passive in this particular process. If you are active, you are going to think, you are going to learn new things. You should be independent. That is what I was talking about. You should not always be depending on teacher. No, teacher will tell me these things and those things. Or tomorrow teacher will come to the class and this doubt will be cleared. You are not expected to do this because nowadays you have smartphones in your hands. I think 80% of the students at least have smartphones with them, and smartphones are, smarter than we think of them. No, actually it should be called smarter phones or smartest phones. If we know how to use that particular smartphone properly. I am going to talk about it also in the next slides, and we should be responsible. Accountability is very important. We should be responsible of what we are learning. We cannot have a kind of, blaming game. Now, the second side of the coin is English teacher. So, what is a good English teacher? So, this is a definition given by Brown of an English teacher. So, English teacher is always characterized by technical knowledge. So, what kind of technical knowledge? He should have understanding of linguistics, because we are talking about a language. He should be facilitated with grasping basic principles of language learning and teaching. So he should know what are the principles of teaching language and learning language, because he has to play a dual kind of role in this particular process. Characterized by language proficiencies in speaking, reading, writing and listening, the 4 skills he should be proficient in. Dr. Jagdar sir was talking about it. Knowledge about language learning process through his own experiences. No? He should be able to set his own example. So that is what is called leading by example. Leading by example you might have read or heard somewhere. So English teachers should lead by example. English teacher should always be ready to speak in English himself, and then and there only his students also will be motivated to speak in English. Otherwise, in most of the cases it so happens that English is taught using Marathi language or whatever language first, which has been outdated. I think it was called as a grammar translation method, in which first language also was used as a means to make students understand second or foreign language. He should be characterized by understanding the relationship between culture and language, because culture and language has very significant kind of relationship. We cannot separate language from culture. If the culture changes, the meaning of language also changes, and the teacher should be able to deal with these subtleties of culture and language, and she should be having knowledge of the latest development of language teaching and learning. So he should be up to date. And nowadays it is said, in the era of information and communication technology, up to date also has become outdated. We should be up to minute. We should be even up to second, because every second we are getting some new information on social media. So teacher also should be up to second, up to minute at least. So these are some of the characteristics of a good teacher which I wanted to discuss. Teacher has a role of caretaker also. And if a teacher is a caretaker, the bond between the students and teachers becomes very strong, and if the bond is strong, a kind of affinity is created. and in this kind of comfortable environment, learning can be more fruitful. So teacher has, apart from teaching, he has this role to perform, caretaker. So teacher who adopts a caretaker's role speaks English in class all the time. How can we expect that our students should speak English if we are not speaking in English? In the classroom, on the campus, I know that we have a number of limitations, but at least we can start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. Keeps children's attention by asking questions. Most of the times if teacher asks questions, we start hating that teacher. Because we feel as a student, no, I am placing myself in your place. If teacher asks questions and if I don't know the answer, I feel insulted. No, it happens. But it should not happen. Because asking question is a kind of stimulus. Most of the times, which makes us awake also. If the teacher asks questions, we have to respond positively. I'd like to tell my students, friends. Reacts positively to what children says, even if words are not complete or perfectly pronounced. Now, students are in their learning stages. We cannot expect perfection from students because we also are not perfect. Nobody is perfect, isn't it? So, most of the times it so happens that students commit mistakes in the classroom and we feel that mistakes are not allowed in the classroom. Mistakes are the stages of learning. We have heard this saying, or mistakes are the steps to learning. But there should be limited steps. The number of steps also should be limited. Mistakes should be rectified by the teacher, but they should be allowed to commit mistakes in the classroom. Mistakes should be treated tactfully. If a particular student commits mistakes and if he gets insulted, he will not open his or her mouth in the classroom throughout the year. If he gets insulted because he has committed a mistake. So mistakes also should be welcomed. If a teacher is a caretaker, he repeats phrases said earlier because every human being is different. Some students are slow learners, some students are fast learners. So we have to take care of each and every learner in our classroom. So we have to repeat sometimes. No, we are not radio stations. No, we can repeat. No? We can repeat if the student asks us to repeat. Adds to or improves what children say. This is very important because it gives a kind of motivation to the students. If student wants to add something, it's a duty of a teacher that he should modify it. He should add some of his own opinions to encourage the student. With very young learners, facilitates understanding of instructions and tasks through use of L1, language first also, but with very young learners, not this particular stage. And he treats error tactfully. That is what I was talking about before some minutes. Now these are some of the priority areas in TEFL which I'll skip. Now this is one new term that has been formed by linguists and the scholars in language learning. Mobile pedagogy. Pedagogy, do you understand, students? It's something about learning. Pedagogy is the science of learning actually. So how mobile can be used in order to learn a language is mobile pedagogy. So transforming the way we communicate, socialize, play, shop, conduct business. So mobile has transformed each and every aspect of our life. It has changed our lifestyle. Before some years, if we want to buy particular things, we have to travel a lot, we have to cut the traffic, and then we have to reach to the shop and we have to purchase. But nowadays you can, that is what conducting the business, shopping, everything has been changed. So language learning also has been changed. How we communicate also has been changed because of mobile. Mobile assisted language learning is a new method of learning language in which we use mobile in order to learn language. One of the most important advantage of MAL, mobile assisted language learning, is that it is cheap and increasingly powerful. Power of the smartphone is increasing day by day. We get any kind of information regarding language learning at our fingertip. Within a fraction of a second we get what are the communication skills and what is language learning and what is TEFL and everything. So it is more user friendly also. No, that is one of the most important advantage of mobile, that it is user friendly. We don't have to join any formal class to learn how to operate mobile phone, smartphone. In order to operate how to operate computer, we had to attend classes previously. But for smartphone, though it is similar to mobile, laptop and computer, we don't have to take any kind of formal instructions in order to use mobile. So it is user friendly. Easy access to material and ability to practice anytime and anywhere. That is one more advantage of smartphone. We can use smartphone anywhere, sitting even in the classroom, as most of the students do, and any time. It doesn't have any kind of time limitation. 10 to 5 you can use mobile. After that it is not allowed, or mobiles will be disconnected. No, anytime we can use mobile and internet in order to learn positive things. It can be used to develop the 4 skills of language. So how it can be used, we are going to learn in the next slides. However, yes, proper planning is essential. Otherwise there will be issues of discipline in the classroom, in the learning atmosphere. So a teacher as a facilitator should have proper knowledge of planning activities using smartphones. Otherwise what we will think, the teacher has asked us to use mobile phones in the classroom, so let us start chatting. No, that should not happen. It should be a kind of controlled activity. So planning is essential. So what are the features in mobile phone that we can use in order to learn language? Notes feature, have you used? There is a feature called notes in mobile phone, which we can use in order to take notes while students listen to or read something outside the classroom, sometimes inside the classroom if permitted. Otherwise, when we are outside the classroom and when we are discussing about a particular topic in our group, we can make use of the notes so that we can type the points, and after some days sometimes we can refer back to those points. So notes feature can be used. Camera can be used to capture the images. If we don't have time, capture the images of people also and capture the images of pages of paper also. If we don't have that particular time to write down each and everything on the slide, most of the students are taking snaps of this particular slide, and after we go to home we can refer back, we can go back to the pictures that we have just snapped, and we can get back to the idea. Applications, there are a number of such applications. Evernote to recognize and plan your project. Students can use these kinds of application. Evernote is very simple and essential for senior college students. These applications you can get on Play Store also. So it helps us to organize projects. Actually we are arts students, so we don't have any projects. These kinds of applications are very widely used by professional courses students like engineering and medical students. Voice recorder also, yes. This is the thing that we very seldomly use. Very rarely we use voice recorder to record conversation in and outside the classroom. If you want to improve your speech, you can just start speaking and recording your speech with the mobile phone, the camera or voice recorder also, and then after you finish with your presentation, you can go at home and you can see how you were talking about your subject. So you can improve on whatever topics you were dealing. Dictionaries also, a number of dictionaries are available on Play Store which we can use. Using dictionary also is a skill of language. Browser we can use, I need not talk about it. We know how browser can be used to search relevant data. Relevant is very important word. There are a number of online quiz. It doesn't matter we are literature students, we have online quiz for literature also, which we can have, which are available free of cost. These are some of the apps that students are likely to already have on their smartphones, which they are using or they can use. Mobile versions of social media such as Facebook and Twitter. We can have groups on Facebook that are dedicated to language learning. There are a number of such groups, such pages are there. Video conferencing services like Skype or Google Hangouts can be used in order to learn language. Messaging and multimodal texting apps including Snapchat, Instagram, most of you must be using these apps. Dictionaries, as we were talking about. Nowadays we don't need to carry dictionaries that are bulky, that run for 100, 500 pages. We can have a number of dictionaries in our smartphone and we can access to those dictionaries any time that we want. Video streaming players such as YouTube. Now on YouTube there are 5-minute lectures. Have you seen 5-minute lectures on YouTube related to any particular topic? May it be literature, may it be linguistics. So we can learn a number of things from YouTube also. VLC media player we can use in order to watch the plays that has been prescribed. There are some drawbacks of mobile pedagogy. How use of mobile sometimes result in failure also. So if the lack of access to mobile phones, I said that 80% of the students are having mobile phones, but what about remaining 20%? So those 20% students who do not have mobile phones, smartphones, they will not be able to get access to these things. Cost of mobile phones and wireless services sometimes may be obstacle in mobile pedagogy. Noise and disruption in the class. If everybody is allowed to use mobile phones in the classroom, it will result in chaos. So that is why I was talking about proper planning. Privacy considerations also are there. Increased teacher workload. Workload is the topic that is of the concern of teacher. So if I have to plan a particular project, particular lesson using mobile or even using PowerPoint presentation, I have to devote my time as a teacher, which increases the workload of teacher also. If the teachers are willing, then it will not be a load, it will be play. Students are lacking self-discipline, the lesson plans using mobile or PowerPoint or laptop cannot be successful. So self-discipline also is very important. So skills topic I will be going somewhat rapidly. So what should be focused? Because Umesh sir has already talked about it, about the 4 skills and how those skills can be developed. So what should be focused? What do you think? When we learn, when we use any particular language, which skill should be focused more and which skill do we focus? Actually, when it comes to communication skills, we focus on speaking. But according to this particular pie chart, 45% of the learning is through listening. So listening is the skill that should be developed. All the other skills should automatically be developed with some effort. So 2 types of language skills are there. First type of language skill is called BICS, basic interpersonal communication skills, which we need to learn. So what are the BICS? Basic interpersonal communication skills. So those are the skills necessary for social interaction, involve listening comprehension and speaking skills sufficient to understand and respond to social interaction. So these are basic skills, and CALP skills are cognitive or academic language proficiency. In order to have this kind of proficiency, we as language learners and teachers also have to take efforts. So CALP are the skills necessary for performance in academic situation. So if you want to make a presentation, may it be spoken or may it be written kind of presentation, you should have some kind of advanced skills which needs proficiency that is more than social interaction. Skills encompass listening, speaking, reading and writing capabilities. Then skills in relation to learning academic content are important. Those skills involve problem solving. Now, basic skills involve a kind of role that we play in society when we interact with other people in the society. But when it comes to cognitive academic language proficiency, there are skills like problem solving which we are expected to learn, skills of inferring, analyzing, synthesizing as well as predicting. So becoming proficient includes both linguistic and concept development. So language also should be developed, and at the same time conceptual development also is essential. So it is not a magic formula. Studying language or learning language skills is not a magic. So what we need to do? We need to have a kind of language aptitude. So what is language aptitude? It is natural ability to learn another language. So we human beings are different from other animals in a sense that we are born with a kind of programming that enables us to learn language. But still, no human being is similar. Every human being is different. So the language aptitude that a particular student in your class has, some another student may not have that much language aptitude. So until and unless we have that inborn quality, we cannot learn language properly, and that is why some people are good speakers of language and some people are not. Each individual is unique. It happens with language learners also, because he is an individual. Everyone is able to make progress, we have to believe. And if we believe that each and every student in my classroom is able to make progress, if I have this positive kind of attitude, I can bring about change in the students also, and motivation on the part of teacher also is important. So how I can motivate my students to learn any particular language? So it should be clear why we should learn English speaking. So why it is necessary, we should be able to tell our students. All students should know before they start learning how to speak English or the communication skills. This is very important, which most of the times we forget. Whether we take English as a subject or language. What do you think, student friends? What do you think about English? Whether it is a subject or language? It's a language. So if you have that kind of attitude, it's a language and it is not only a subject, then yes, you can learn that language. But if you are looking at English as a subject like any other social science subjects, you cannot learn English as a language. You will pass the papers of English, you will get maximum marks also, but you will not be able to learn English in order to communicate. So our viewpoint needs to be changed. English is the key that unlocks the doors to opportunities, is the thing that we need to tell to our students. And I think that all of you agree with this. So how we can create opportunities so that our students get better exposure? So ask students to speak with fellow English learners in English itself. So we can have these kinds of activities. The activities that we can have in our classroom. As students, you can have these kinds of activities in your group. So English day we can have. So once in a year? No. At least once in a week we can have English day. On that particular day we will speak in English only. We should have this kind of agreement that on Monday we will be talking to each other using English only. So Monday will be mute. Isn't it? If this condition is there, Monday will be on silent mode. So it should not happen. So we have to decide. English speaking club, activities like English speaking club, I don't know whether you know about it. English speaking club is an activity in which students are allotted or they are asked to choose a particular topic at least once in a fortnight to prepare and to speak about that particular topic. So if the topic is given by the teacher, that is okay. If the topic is decided by the students, that is more okay. Ask the students to read aloud and others to listen. Now this practice has been outdated nowadays, no? We don't do these things. If some teacher tries doing this thing, students will get an impression that the teacher does not know how to teach, or the teacher can't read properly, that is why he is asking us to read. That kind of impression is possible. But this skill, this activity is very important when one student is reading the poem or some paragraphs in the lesson and others are listening attentively. One word or sentence every day is a practice that we can follow in order to increase vocabulary. Because what is language? Language simply means a collection of words. If we have a number of words in our brain saved in the folder called active vocabulary, we can use those words in our communication. Right? Tell them, yes, mistakes are always welcome. We have talked about it. So how we can develop spoken English? So one can't speak unless one speaks is the fact. So most of the students now come to us, to English teachers, and they ask we people that I want to speak in English. I want to learn how to speak in English. And the question is asked in Marathi actually. No, I want to learn how to speak in English. They speak in Marathi naturally. I tell them that unless you start speaking in English, you cannot speak in English. We cannot speak in English unless we start, unless we factualize it. Grammar and usage. Most of the times we are under wrong impression that if I know all the rules of grammar, I can speak English fluently or I can write English properly. This is not the fact. Memorizing rules of grammar is different and using those rules of grammar in conversation is different. So, more than memorizing the rules of grammar, we should know how to use those rules in our communication, your speech or writing. Practice is very essential. Being a good listener, as I was talking about, a good listener is always a good speaker of language. Positive thinking is very essential. If we are positive about learning English, then we can learn English. So there are two facts that I want to talk about. People who say, I can't speak English well are correct. And people who say, every day my English is getting better and better are also correct. So it is about your thought process. It is about your way of thinking. If you think that I can't learn English, yes, you are right. You cannot learn English because you are negative. If you say that every day my English is getting better, my English is getting improved, then you are also right because you are positive. So being positive is very important. These are the 3 rules of spoken English. First is to learn to speak English correctly. You must speak it aloud so that you also can listen to your voice and other people can listen to your voice. Your mistakes also can be rectified. So speaking aloud, or while you read also, reading aloud is a skill. To learn to speak English fluently, you must think in English. So this is the problem with we people. As in the beginning we talked about English as a foreign language. English is not the first language for we people. So what do? We think in Marathi and we try to translate it into English, which takes time. Rules of sentence construction in Marathi are different than the rules of sentence construction in English and we get confused. So we need to try thinking in English so that we can be fluent in English. The more you speak English aloud, the more quickly you can learn how to speak fluently. Right? So what are the other things that we can do in order to improve spoken English? We need not hesitate. So this is the problem with the students, with the teachers also. When teachers of English come together, we hesitate talking in English. So how we can expect this from our students? So we are expected to tell our students that we don't need to hesitate. At least somebody has to start speaking in English. If everybody start hesitating, conversation in English will not begin and it will end in a kind of frustration. Start a conversation in English. Don't think that somebody else will start speaking in English and then I will add my opinions or then I will start speaking. So taking lead is very important. Read the newspaper. Yes, sir has talked about it. Set aside an hour every day to watch English news channels. Sir was talking about exposure. How we can get exposure of English. So news channels are there. Movies also are there. Listen to audios and videos on the internet. You can have YouTube channels. That will teach you language skills, or you can listen to the speeches by some motivational speakers also. Record your own voice and listen to it, which will give you an opportunity to improve upon yourself. Ask people to find out your mistakes. Yeah. So that the mistakes will not be repeated. So as the time does not permit, I'll skip some of the slides. I'll go to the last 2 slides before I finish my presentation. How to improve vocabulary. Sir has talked about these skills. Why? So why do students fail to learn English? So what does happen? So less exposure is one thing. We don't have people around us who continuously speak in English, so we don't get less exposure. We get less exposure. How we can overcome? So we have social media, news channels and all those things. It simply takes a long time to learn any foreign language. No, it takes a long time to learn foreign language. You have to learn new grammar system and thousands of new words. And if we are negative in the beginning, we fail to learn new language. It also takes a lot of practice which we don't do to develop speaking, listening and all the 4 skills of language. So learning any foreign language generally takes years. That is why we have to spend 10-15 years to learn English as a third or second language. It takes time. It's a time consuming practice, and if we don't have patience, then we just quit and we just take some other subjects also most of the times. So we need not to forget English is important, yes, but we need not to forget that English is just a language. It's not a measure of intelligence. If you can't speak English, it doesn't mean that you are not intelligent. You may have a proficiency in some other subject, but still the fact is communication skills or else communication kills most of the times. Are you getting? If we do not have proper communication skills, our communication kills our future. So thank you very much.